The ASX rising this morning after Wall Street finished higher.
Yeah, the ASX up about 0.5% this morning. Wall Street had a pretty good night of trading overnight. The Nasdaq lifted about 1.5%. It was the first day of trading after the Martin Luther King public holiday, and investors over there were pretty pleased with some comments made by Janet Yellen, the former head of the US Federal Reserve, the US Reserve Bank. She was appearing before the Senate Finance Committee. She's been nominated by President-elect Joe Biden to be the new Treasury Secretary. She basically said that she supports Joe Biden's proposed $1.9 trillion stimulus, but says Mr. Biden isn't planning to raise taxes in America any higher than their pre-2017 levels. So US markets seem to like that, and the Aussie market is up today. This morning we've had an update from BHP with their end of their first half performance for their production. Iron ore, they've had a record amount of iron ore produced from its Western Australian division, about 128 million tonnes in the 6 months to December 31, and they're expecting to produce about 253 million tonnes for the rest of this financial year. They also spoke about their coal assets in New South Wales, the Mount Arthur coal mine. They've had to make impairment of $1.3 billion on that coal mine, and that's due to the poor outlook for Australian coal at the moment. So BHP have really cut back the value of that asset quite significantly, and they're looking to hopefully sell it over the next year or so. But the market today up pretty strongly, up about 0.5%, Tom.
Well, meanwhile, it feeds into the latest consumer confidence figures released. How are we feeling?
Consumers are still confident, according to Westpac Melbourne's survey, but they're less confident than they were in December, and that's because of what Westpac are describing as a series of COVID disruptions. The last survey was taken in the first 2 weeks of December. This one this morning has been taken since then, and obviously during December there was some COVID lockdowns, there was some small COVID clusters around Australia, and a lot of rising cases of COVID overseas. So sentiment has fallen back a bit. It was at decade highs in December. It's now still positive, but Westpac say the fall in sentiment is similar to when Victoria's second wave occurred last year in July and August. So the fallback is a similar sort of level of drop as we experienced back then. Westpac say the big event to look out for over the next couple of weeks is the Reserve Bank's first board meeting of the year on the 2nd of February. They're expecting the bank to keep interest rates on hold, but the other thing to look for is this $100 billion of government bond buying that the governor announced last year. Westpac believe that'll be finished by the end of April. The key question for markets is whether the RBA will extend the bond buying program even further to provide support to the economy, or whether they think the economy is now in a better shape than it was last year. Tom?